Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 11 of the holiday card series. You might remember that in my last video for day 10, I showed you some Cosmic Shimmer paste and stenciled cards that I started and never finished. Well, in this video, you're going to see that process, and I'm going to finish the cards. So I'm starting out with some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. I've got two pieces here because I'm going to do two cards, and they are cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches tall. Starting out with this stencil from Echo Park. This is a Winter Pines stencil, and I'm going to tape down the stencil to my craft sheet as well. The paper is taped down and then the stencil is taped down. You want to make sure that your stencil doesn't move around. And then I have this stencil from Hero Arts, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to make sure that it's positioned over that cardstock and then tape it down. So I'm going to use 3 different colors of Cosmic Shimmer paste today. The colors are Icicle Blue Sparkle, Ocean Spray, and Holly Green. And I'm going to try to mix them a little bit to try to get sort of an ombre look. Starting out with that Icicle Blue, you can really see the blue color when I'm spreading it out right there. In the jar, you can see it a little bit on camera. In person, you see it a lot more. But when it's spread out like this, you can really see the color. So I've sped up the video just a little bit. I wanted to show you the entire process, but it took me about 10 minutes to do all of this, and I didn't want to just make you sit through me mixing shimmer paste for 10 minutes. So anyway, what I did was I put out some of that Ocean Spray, and I put some more white into it, trying to soften it up a little bit. And then as I apply it onto the stencil, I'm sort of letting it mix a little bit with the color right above. This isn't going to be a perfect fade of texture or of color, but it's going to look pretty similar, especially with all that sparkle. So after I had that color, I'm going to go ahead and use the Holly Green. This is a more intense dark green. It's really, really pretty. First, going to mix it in with that previous shade, and then I'll go ahead and smear it onto the stencils. And this is going to give me a really, really pretty sparkly background on both of these. So immediately after finishing applying it to the stencils, I cleaned up all of my tools and my work area. You want to make sure that you clean off that palette knife that you're using, because this shimmer paste or any texture paste or embossing paste will stick to all of your tools and it could possibly ruin them. So you want to make sure you clean them off right away. As far as cleaning off the stencils, what I do, I just take it to a sink and I use a soft nail brush. You could even use a little like an old toothbrush and just brush away all of that glitter and shimmer paste. It comes off super easy, and I don't even need to use any soap or anything. I just let the brush it all away. So those are the two pieces. You want to make sure that you remove those from the craft sheet while they're drying, because as you can see, some of the shimmer paste kind of went off the edge of the cardstock. And if you let that dry as is, you might have a little trouble removing it from your craft sheet. I also like to take the tape or even my fingertip and just run it along the edge of my cardstock, and that kind of gets rid of some of that rough edge that some of this shimmer paste can leave behind. So I just like to rub my finger down the side and clean that up a little bit. This gives it a nice smooth edge. So I set that aside and let it dry. And in actuality, it dried about 2 weeks because I didn't know what I was going to do with this background. But in the end, I adhered it straight down onto some white cardstock for a card base. And I'm going to use the Be Merry and Be Merry Sentiment stamp sets from W+9 to add some greetings to the front of these cards. So I've cut some cardstock vellum from Bazzill, and I'm applying a generous coating of anti-static powder tool, and then I have it in my mini Misty tool. I'm going to stamp the sentiment, the really large sentiment from the Be Merry stamp set, in Versamark ink, and I'm also going to stamp a really small little sentiment that says "From Our House to Yours." I'm going to put that at the very bottom of the vellum. I'm going to be cutting these out separately, so it didn't matter where they were stamped exactly on the vellum. I just wanted to stamp them both at the same time so that I could heat emboss them at the same time. So I'm applying some Hero Arts white embossing powder, making sure I coat every single area on this stamping. And then I'm going to tap it with my finger and shake off all of the excess, and then heat it with my heat tool until all of the powder is melted and smooth. I'll then trim off that smaller line of words, and then I'm going to take my scissors and fussy cut around this large greeting area. I'm leaving a slight border around the edge just so that I can go around those words and not have any problems. And I'm making sure that I'm carefully going around all those corners and rounding everything off. So as far as the rest of the greeting goes, I'm going to first stamp that ribbon banner shape. I'm using Schoolhouse Red ink, and I'm going to stamp it onto some Neenah Solar White cardstock, and then I'll die cut this here in a minute. So I stamped it once, and it was a little bit blotchy on one side, and I didn't think that it would even out as it dried. So I decided to stamp it one more time, and I'm just going to even out all of that color off to the one side. This is a very solid, bold stamp, and I wanted to make sure that I had a nice, even impression. So I'm hitting that with my heat tool just to help it dry a little bit more, and I'm also applying a generous coating of anti-static powder and then testing it out to see if it's completely dry. I'm going to stamp on top and do some heat embossing, and I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't have any problem with embossing powder sticking to that red area that I've stamped. So I'm stamping the word peace in the center of that ribbon, and then I'll go ahead and apply some Hero Arts white embossing powder over the top. I'll shake off the excess and then hit that with my heat tool until it's smooth and melted. I then used a little bit of Post-it tape to hold the coordinating die in place, and then ran that through my Big Shot machine. So now it's time to assemble these cards, and I'm going to first trim off the end on this vellum piece here to some V-shaped ribbon ends. You can do that by cutting a slight little line into the center, and then cutting from the corner to the tip of the center line, and that creates the perfect V-shaped end on all of your banners. So I'm going to adhere this little piece using some foam adhesive on the back. I'll just press that down over that glitter area. And then I'm going to apply or adhere this vellum strip using some Ranger Multimedia Matte. I'm putting this glue into some of the looped areas on the words. And then as I press it down onto the glitter area, I want to make sure that it stays in place with some pressure for quite a bit of time. I had some trouble adhering these on top of the glitter using a liquid glue, but when I tried it again and I added a little more glue and really held that pressure down for a long time, then it started to work. But as far as this large vellum piece goes, those little bits of glue just weren't going to work. So I decided to use some Cool Tack clear foam adhesive, and I cut out some little squares and put them on the back, and then adhered that down onto the glitter piece, and those stuck down with no problem at all. You can see it just a little bit through the vellum, but not too bad. So those are the cards for today. I'm glad I stuck with these backgrounds because they are so sparkly and pretty. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will be back on Wednesday with day 12.